Welcome to the show. We hope you have a blast. Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast. Another business leader, here's a penny for your thoughts. This ain't a regular conversation, baby. This that Dealer Talk. Yeah.
What up? Welcome to another episode of the Dealer Talk podcast. This is your host, Herb Anderson. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 2, Season 8. Very, very exciting. Let's check in with our co-host, Miss Charity Ann Farmer. What's up, Charity?
What is up? How are you today?
How you doing? Oh, you know me, living the dream.
Living the dream. Awesome. Equally.
So it is January 14, 2023. Let's talk about New Year resolutions. It's always a fun topic to talk about in January.
Do you do New Year's resolutions?
No, I do all the time resolutions. I don't get that concept. Like you got to wait till the new year,
right?
To put things in motion. Like do that shit now, today. Whatever you're trying to resolute. Do that.
Is resolute the base word of that?
Or resolve, whatever the thing is. You get it.
Now I'm curious.
You understand what I'm trying to say.
Admirably purposeful, determined, and unwavering. It is resolute.
So
I don't. Although a couple of years ago, I decided that I would use it as a way to like map out my year and like little things that I wanted to accomplish or goals that I would like to try to achieve in a year. And that's been kind of fun. So I'll be like, okay, quarter 1, I want to do this. Quarter 2, I want to do this. And then on these months, I want to do these things. I haven't done that this year though.
So what happens in Q2 when you look back and none of the stuff is done? Then you give up and you're like, well, I'll just wait till next year now.
Well, yeah, but
start over.
That's why I also haven't. I'm not the kind of person who's like, I'm going to do this and then don't do it. Like if you're going to commit to doing something for yourself, then don't lie to yourself. Like if you're lying to yourself, that's the worst kind of lie possible.
I have a better one. Instead of resolutions, make decisions. That's better. Right?
Well, and I don't
decide.
call it resolutions.
Just decide what it is that you want. Make the decision, and once the decision is made, then you're golden. It's going to happen because you decided that it would be so. I don't know if you've seen there was this clip that I saw the other day of Kate Winslet in an interview. She's being interviewed. It seems it's by a little girl, or and she's like, "Oh, I'm nervous, my first time." And Kate Winslet like starts pep talking her, and she's like, "This is going to be a great interview. You want to know why? Because we decided that it's going to be a great interview. We've made the decision. It's going to be awesome. You can ask me anything you want." And I was like, "Dude, that's such a great example. Like, damn, good for her, man."
Do you know Kate Winslet can hold her breath for like 7 minutes or something? I'm going to look it up.
I don't know about that. I mean, she did. She was on the Titanic, so.
It was like I saw a video of it. Kate Winslet holds her breath. That's what they say, 7 minutes. October 26th, 2020. She held her breath for that long.
For 7 minutes?
I'll have to find the video, but see, now I opened another tab and I can't find you. Where are you?
Oh, wow. It's funny because your face disappeared too.
It did not. Stop.
Too easy.
Stop.
So,
anyway,
what else is going on, Finn?
You don't have any New Year's resolutions at all. This is a trick question because I already know that you've got something that you're working on.
But that's not a resolution. That was a decision.
That you made at the beginning of the year?
No, I didn't make it at the beginning of the year. I made that decision a while ago.
No, we'll watch. I'm going to watch that one all year long. I'll be like, Herb has decided he's not drinking soda for the entire year.
and it's done. Or coffee.
Or coffee. That one's rough.
Easy.
Ooh.
Easy peasy. Piece of cake.
Okay.
So what's up? What do you got?
So can we talk about something that has nothing to do with the automotive industry, but I think
Of course.
just brought me incredible, like a level of conspiratorial joy yesterday.
Absolutely.
Did you know that there is a shortage of glitter in the world? And
I did not know.
There are only 2 companies in the world, major companies, that make all of the glitter for the whole world. And when they were interviewed about why there was a shortage, the head of one of the companies said that she couldn't tell us that there was one industry taking all of the glitter, and they couldn't tell us which industry, but we would never guess who it was.
It was the
And now
automotive
there's
industry.
this massive conspiracy about who it is, and nobody can figure it out. And they call it Glittergate.
That's hilarious. That's fun. Huh. Interesting. You know, to tie that back into the automotive industry, I do think that there's major flaws in vehicle designs.
Okay, keep going.
Like they're not thinking about their number one consumer, women, right? Like it should come with a hook, for example, so you can put your purse on there.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
It should have.
We used to have a hook on some of them. On the
No, but like it should obviously be, and you should be able to put multiple purses on it, not just one. Mm-hmm. It should have like something that pops up that holds like your lipstick and your chopstick and stuff like that. You know, women or chapstick. What's that called?
Oh, chapstick. You said chopsticks.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the Venezuela in me. You know, women have these ponytails and then they have the headrest there, so they have to like move their head like this. Like it should have like a little opening there so they can put their head in there and not. You know, like there's all kinds of stuff that they're not thinking about. Like, can you imagine if a car maker comes up with that stuff? Like that shit would sell like hotcakes.
Well, what they need is that they need to start hiring your designers and engineers that are building and designing these are men. So,
well, I don't know. We don't know that.
I remember years ago, like a decade at least, I remember reading an article about the ways that when you put women into those roles, like how it changes the way the cars are built for those reasons. They just think.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's a stretch. I'm not going to say that they're all women. Maybe there's a bunch of women designers out there. Who knows?
What would the role be? The job role? Automotive.
I don't know, like the interior car designer or something like that.
Among the nearly 28,000 members of the Society of Automotive Engineers, only 1,500 are women. 5%.
I'm just saying, like.
I totally agree with you, though. But I love how you associated glitter with women.
Well, I mean, like, come on.
Although glitter is used in automotive paint.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's probably going to the automotive industry.
Yeah, but it's an industry that nobody knows. You wouldn't guess.
Well, yeah.
So here's my
theory. Like you wouldn't think that it's going to the automotive industry.
Here's my
but
theory.
It is.
I think it's currency. I think it's in our money. That would make sense because, of course, nobody wants them to know that they use that when they're making the money, because that would be like part of
the recipe, part of the bill recipe.
The bill recipe. But what do they? So you can't counterfeit money. I don't know. That's my theory. Or there isn't a shortage And they're just saying there's a shortage to make us talk about it.
Just to mess with you. Just
And
so you buy more glitter. That's funny.
That made my day yesterday. I needed that. So
you do know that this is an automotive podcast, right?
I specifically asked if I could talk about something non-automotive.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring it back, right, as a good host.
Okay.
So I have a prediction. It is January 14th, 2023. I predict that within 3 weeks from this date, Carvana will file for bankruptcy. That's my prediction. And in saying, I don't know, we'll see when this episode airs, but if my prediction is accurate, well, yeah, it depends when this hits, but I'm going to say what I think you should be doing just in case it comes out before the time is up. Number one, if you have aged inventory, get rid of it immediately. Like, get rid of that stuff. If you have to take a loss, take the loss now. If you have over 60-day supply, try to bring that down to 30 or less, right? And then be ready to go out to the market and buy. Do not get caught with inventory right before that happens, because you will obviously lose a bunch of money there. Also, get ready to advertise to Carvana buyers. Figure out what the strategy is in your market. If there's a lot of title issues or, stuff like that. I know that there's not a lot that could be done, but you could be, I don't know if beacon is the right word, but you could be something out there that customers could go to find answers and solutions that will build value for you and create loyalty towards your specific dealership. Service. Have service campaigns for Carvana customers. Talk about, hey, if you bought a car at Carvana and, the car was dirty or whatever, you had any issues, bring it here. We'll pay top dollar for your vehicle. We'll try to trade you into another, stuff like that. Like, be ready to take advantage of that stuff, because you're going to have a bunch of customers potentially, where it just depends in your area, that went that experience, and this is the perfect time for you to capture those consumers back. And if this hits after the 3-week prediction and it's too late, then,
sorry,
hit me up and let's see what we could do together to get you in the right direction.
And if it's not 3 weeks from now.
What do you mean if it's not 3 weeks?
What if it's longer than 3 weeks and wrong?
Then I'm wrong. Then I'm wrong, and I'll eat my words. I'll eat my words. But I'm just saying. What do you think? Do you disagree? Do you agree? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't want Carvana to go under, so, because that would be bad.
No, it's not bad. I mean, I'm not wishing for it either, but I can't really say specifics, but I just know, based on certain conversations that I've had and certain things that I've been paying attention to, I think it's inevitable. And I just want to put the word out there to see if it reaches anybody and it could prevent them from, taking some hits. But, I could be wrong too. Like, maybe they won't. They seem to, their stock has gone up in the past month or so. I think it went up 4 points. So, they still have, but the problem is, like, if you read the numbers,
didn't they drop like 100%?
Yeah, it's still down 98%. But, well, hey, listen, and when, you can't fall off the floor, dude. What's the other thing? Oh yeah, the issue that's alarming, that's just screams bankruptcy, is they're $7 billion in debt and being able to make their payments on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can only hold that off for so long. And if you don't have injection of cash, you got to start selling off assets, which they're already doing. You have to start cutting personnel, which they already had another round of layoffs. And I mean, you can only hold that for so long. So, you know, but it's a prediction. Maybe I'm wrong. And, you know, this is just, what's that called when you say stuff in your, like,
Doomsday?
conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy theory is a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, whatever. It's a prediction. Putting myself out there. We'll see.
Chicken Little.
If I am right, the writer, make sure to do a reel about this so we can, you know, say 3 weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm wrong, do a post to say 3 weeks ago, Herb said this. Wrong. That'd be funny.
Okay.
Anyway, what else you got going on?
Nothing. You want to do automotive news?
Is that a question?
Mm-hmm. Are we doing automotive news this season? Because we kind of didn't last episode.
No, I think we should just, this is different, right? We're changing things up, so.
Okay. I have an interesting thing that I learned a couple of weeks ago that I thought was really fascinating. Did you know that there is a backlog of vehicles at the ports in Australia? Because it says 3 of the Australia's top 5 car brands hit new quarantine delays. So that'll last 15 to 22 weeks, the quarantines, because of a seed that is hazardous to the fragile ecosystem of Australia. And then there was the article was about how the OEMs and the manufacturers have the ability to prevent this if they just store the made vehicles in safer locations, but they don't, and then they stick them on these ships, and then they bring all of these things that would like destroy the ecosystem in Australia, and so then Australia has to quarantine them and then clean the freaking ships down before that they can even let them into Australia.
Why though?
Because of the things that they bring with them, like this seed that would like annihilate the plants in Australia, or there was a bug that got into one of the ships that they can't have in Australia. And I thought that was really interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
Because like I know during COVID, Australia locked down pretty hard. And I mean, if you're just this massive island, like, you really have to be careful of what you're letting in and out or in. You did it.
I figured it out. That was awesome.
I literally sometimes don't know if you hear anything I say, but
no, I really enjoyed that. That was pretty good. Anyway, so Australia seats. So what's the impact? Are we going to have more inventory shortages potentially?
Well, Australia is suffering apparently. 15 to 22 weeks is how long it takes them to move those cars out of quarantine.
Wow, that's terrible.
And it's like Toyota and Mazda and Ford and Mitsubishi. So,
yeah. Wow. Well,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about the Tesla thing? Up to 20% discounts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There is no way that any other manufacturer can keep up with Elon's ability to just kind of shift and move. He just doesn't have the red tape and bureaucracy just to announce that like that to, get sales going.
Did you read that? Did you read more about it after I sent that to you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
It drops the Teslas into the tax credit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you'll see spikes. I know that's what he intends to do, but there's just a lot of Elon hate right now. And so we'll see. I was talking to somebody the other day that was said he was on got with an Uber driver here in Vegas. And, he was asking him like, hey, how's Ubering? And he had a Tesla, obviously. And he was like, dude, it's horrible to be an Uber driver right now. People get in the car and it's a Tesla and they're just talking smack. And, they think that they want to like project that onto us, the drivers. It's like really, really bad. And I was wondering that's unfortunate. What?
I said I was wondering about that. I wonder if part of the reason that Teslas have lost their value is just because of the Elon hate.
Well, yeah, I mean, if consumers don't buy it, and I think that there's more alternatives, gas prices have gone down, demand has stalled because of interest rates. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that's and not to mention that there's competition coming out, in particular this year, that's significantly less expensive. So, and if they come up with if Toyota figures out this hydrogen thing, then I don't know, man, EV might go away altogether. So we shall see. Very interesting times, though, for sure.
That was another one that I read was Toyota making a statement about converting. To accelerate the global move towards sustainable vehicles, Toyota is suggesting simply replacing the inner workings of vehicles already on the roads with cleaner technology.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is that there's technology and there's forward momentum on this deal. So it's only going to be good long term once we get over this rocky part and figure out what the next tech is and who's going to invest on what and which direction we're going to go in. So it's all positive stuff, but it's just interesting to be in the midst of it all. And I like that, it happened during my lifetime that we were going to see such a big change in the space. So
I think that's one of the things that's exciting about being in our generation, though, is that we get to see all of these incredibly cool things. I was talking with my best friend last night, and we were just talking about memories from 20 years ago. And I was like, I think I had a cell phone back then. And it was weird to remember that there were times when I didn't have a cell phone. Yeah.
So our generation and maybe our parents' generations, depending on your parents' age, we're the last ones, right? So we knew what it was with no technology, and then we know what it is with technology, and we've been able to adopt to both. But moving forward, it's just everybody, like my kids, your kids, they're all grown up in this, internet and social media and all this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see that that economy, right, of that generation and what that's going to look like.
What they're going to create.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, so season 8, I'm confused. Season 8, episode 2, we're doing all about NIADA during the season. So we're very, very excited. And we have our second guest, Jeremy Beck, is joining us. He's waiting for us in the lobby. So let's just get him in here, get this thing rolling. Should we do a drum roll here? Drum roll?
Drum roll? You want to do it?
There it is.
That's a great drum roll. I'm in.
How you doing, sir?
I'm well. How are y'all?
Good, man. It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah, good to be here. Certainly good to be here.
Right on. Let's clap for that. Yeah.
Your sound effects are going to be better than my visit on the show.
We're figuring it out, man. We're figuring it out.
I like it.
All right. So we kick things off here with a intro. So tell us about you.
I'm Jeremy Beck. I am the Vice President of Dealer Development and Industry Insights for NIADA. I am a lifelong car guy. So I've been in the car business for 25 years. This will tell you, not that I'm trying to age myself or anything, but I actually got into the car business by responding to a newspaper ad for a used car salesperson.
Right on.
So that tells you how long ago it was. Again, close to 25 years ago, and worked my way up. Been on the franchise side, been on the independent side, buy here, pay here for a little while, and then moved over to the what we call the provider, the vendor side. Worked for a very very large, well-known financial bank on the F&I side. And then most recently on the F&I side for a really large F&I provider as VP of Sales Ops before I came over to NIADA. And so I've been, I guess, NIADA I was counting the days. I'm not counting I told Melanie the other day, I'm going to stop counting the days. I'm just going to refer to how many months I've been here. So just over 4 months. And super excited about all the things that we've got going on, here at the association. So that's me in a nutshell.
Very cool. Very cool. No, we're super excited to have you on here. We're excited to actually do this season where we're just going to be focusing on all things on the independent side of it, and obviously in partnership with NIADA. So
good.
I think this is going to be really good. There's one thing that I wanted to kick things off with, and that was a certification. We talked to Melanie on our last one, and she brought that up, and it just got my wheels spinning. I've been thinking about it a lot and the impact that that's going to have. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I actually started working with NIADA 2 years ago, seems a long time ago. 2 years ago, NIADA approached several of the F&I providers that were really big in the independent space and said, hey, we have a desire to really come to the market with a true CPO program for independent dealers to compete, or at least allow independent dealers really the opportunity to compete with the franchise stores. We all know franchise stores have really kind of had a lock on the CPO, on the certified pre-owned industry for quite some time for various different reasons. Manufacturers spent billions of dollars building these great programs, and they're phenomenal programs. The independent side really hasn't had anything like that for a really, really, really long time. They dabbled here and there. Some of the providers will come out with, their version of a CPO program. But to be a real certified pre-owned program, it's got to be, backed by a big name. It's got to have a true quality. It's got to be true quality coverage, and it's got to provide value and confidence to the consumer. And it can't be at an additional charge to the consumer, because that's the definition of a limited warranty of a certified pre-owned vehicle. So we've worked with some of the biggest F&I providers in the independent space over the last couple of years. I happened to be one of them before I came over to the association to really build a robust program. We've partnered with Carvana to do digital inspections and to be able to increase the level of transparency for a consumer when they're searching for that vehicle. They can see everything that was done to that vehicle. They can see the inspection that it went through before they ever walk onto the lot, and really have an opportunity to, look at the vehicle, look at the Carfax, look at the history. There's some stringent criteria as it relates to the way that the vehicle, must operate, how many accidents the vehicle can have on Carfax to really be able to drive confidence to the consumer. So we came out on January 3rd, was our launch date, with 4 F&I providers. Those 4 F&I providers being ProGuard, GWC Warranty, AUL, and then Southwest Dealer Services. And really developed this holistic program, this limited warranty program that comes in various different terms based on what the dealer wants to offer, and then allows the consumer to be able to, when they're searching for the vehicle, see that it's a certified pre-owned vehicle, see the inspection that was done, see the repairs that were done, and really be able to build confidence in that overall buying experience. So it's been a long time coming. It is a phenomenal program. And the intent is to build confidence into the consumer through the buying process, which the manufacturers have been able to do. And so we're really just bringing that mindset over to the independent world. I tell dealers all the time, the CPO program is designed to allow you to compete against the manufacturers and give you a leg up on your independent competition that isn't offering a true certified pre-owned program.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealertalk. That's 4eyes.io/dealertalk.
So that's interesting. How are we, like, as a consumer is what I'm most interested in. So I'm a consumer. Let's say I go maybe on Auto Trader or even the independent dealer's website. Who is it going to be certified by? NIADA or the financial institution? Like, and how is that going to be promoted or marketed?
So it's backed by NIADA. It is an NIADA certified pre-owned program. So there's a shield, there's a branding campaign that's going on. You can certainly go onto our website, go onto our social media, but all of them are backed and will show the NIADA CPO or certified brand image that we've created. And there's an entire branding campaign that's going to go out over the coming months to really be able to start to build confidence in that brand and to get people to understand who is NIADA and the brand behind it. But really, ultimately, what they're going to be able to do when they go in and they search online, as you mentioned, they're going to be able to really be able to see that the vehicle is certified, and then be able to see what does that certification mean, what comes with it, what work was done on it, what type of rigorous inspection point system did it have to go through. They're actually going to be able to see all the work that the dealer did through the Carvana system and be able to see that on all of the dealer's listings. And so we did that with the mindset that we have to build confidence in the consumer on their couch, right? In order to get them to be able to come in and say, yeah, I actually want to see this vehicle. We got to start with building confidence on their couch.
So I love that. The whole that you can see what was done to the vehicle from your couch. Like, from my experience in the franchise side of things, there's, as much as we talk about giving customers an experience that they can have on their couch, it always comes back to, well, get them into the building. And especially with like CPOs, we've got all of the stuff that we did to the vehicle, but we're going to give it to you in paper format when you buy the vehicle, and then you can see everything that was done. But this sounds like it's way more transparent.
Far more.
And that's a total value add, I think.
Well, yeah, but the reason behind that is also there's, I always talk about this on the website experience for most dealership is riddled with FOMO, right? We put all these different things on there because we don't want to miss the lead, or we don't want to miss a single thing, that we clutter it to the point where it just, the customer gets there and they're overwhelmed with so much that they're not looking at the comments. They're not looking at the things that they should. They're just looking at price and photos, right?
Yep.
And they just want to get out of there.
And 9 times out of 10, those price and those photos, I used to tell my franchise dealers all the time, and I tell our independent dealers, if you don't have some type of value slide in that photo carousel that tells consumers why to buy from you, then how are you setting yourself apart? If you think that everybody's going to be reading this long description that you put in, look, how many of us are reading that? I don't get past the first sentence. I'm severe ADHD. I'm a car guy. There's no way. I'm going straight to the photos. But if the second photo in that slide carousel or that photo carousel is why buy from me, or the inspection certificate, or what they get from it, or what was done to it, and there's a link for them to be able to to see the detailed information, now you got my attention, right? And you're absolutely right. I mean, look, I come from told you how long I've been in the car business. Our version of internet leads was, you clicked on it, you submitted the lead, and then my first response was, yeah, we got the car, what time can you be here? Yeah, right. I mean, exactly. That was, I didn't want to negotiate with you. I didn't want to give you the price over the phone. I didn't want to give you the price over the internet. I wanted your warm butt in my seat. Right. And consumers are onto that, and they've been onto it for a while. And so really being able to provide some level of transparency, or as much as we can in the buying practice, has been a massive focal point of the associations in developing this program.
Yeah.
Do
So
you have a
is
lot
it
of
available now?
Yep, it's available now. So you can go onto our website, NIADA.com. You can click on the certified pre-owned portion of it. You can submit information to us. You can tell us. So again, I mentioned we have those 4 administrators right now. If you don't know who you want to sign up with, then we'll help you find the right one geographically within your region to be able to sign up with. And then, the administrators will reach out to you. They'll walk through the program for you. They'll touch base with you. They'll get you to sign all the legal documents and everything like that. And then you're up and running.
So it's only been live since the 3rd.
Since the 3rd.
Have
Yep.
you seen a lot of movement from dealers?
Yeah, surprisingly, we have. I mean, my email inbox is, if I need any more emails, my email box has been blown up with all of those form fills, as we call them, right? Those lead generation form fills, and we've seen a lot of interest. Our phones have been busy at the association saying, "Hey, I heard about this, want to know more," and so we're getting as much information out there as we possibly can. We're working on, getting some testimonial vehicles or some testimonial videos from dealers that are enrolling in the program. So a lot is coming, but we've seen a ton of interest in it so far. And the good news about us is we're nimble enough, and we selected the right partners, I believe, with this program for us to then be able to take feedback and constantly improve upon it. We can move really, really quickly. So if we see something that's not working with the program as we envisioned it right now, we can change it. We can take the feedback and we can change fairly quickly, as long as it doesn't impact, the overall mindset of us wanting to drive confidence and transparency with the consumer.
Right on. So that's really good, man. Charity, let's make sure to put some information on that in the notes. I really like this. I want to get this information out. I'm excited for it. I mentioned to Melanie in the last call that when I was with Cox, Kelly Blue Book was trying to put a certification program together, and they were going to launch that. I remember during my time there, and it was a lot of back and forth, and we had some pilots in certain areas and stuff, but for some reason they decided to pull the plug on it, and I always thought that was a big miss.
I was with a company that worked with Kelly Blue Book trying to develop that back in the day. So I remember that. Yeah.
Right on. So I'm very excited for you guys for this move. I think it's the right move. And look, at the end of the day, that it tells the consumer that you're getting a better quality unit, right? And that's good. That's a good thing. If we have that standard set, the consumer's the one that benefits from that. So that's amazing.
You're absolutely correct. Let me just add this just real quick, because I think one of the challenges that the independent side has had for so long is that look, the manufacturers spent, as I mentioned, billions of dollars building the mindset with consumers that a certified vehicle is better than a non-certified vehicle, and it should be. The challenge that we had on the independent side is we had no way to demonstrate that. We had no way to really be able to differentiate that. And then we started using, the word certified has been used and really kind of misused so many different ways and around our industry that you almost start to diminish the value of the word certified and the value that the consumer has. And that's why the transparency of what was the inspection, what was done to the vehicle, all of that became so valuable to us with Carquetta, because we needed customers to be able to see that, to get past the mindset of, oh yeah, we get certified, what's that mean, right? I mean, and really build the value back in the word certified. So I think it's going to take off. I believe we see it already starting to take off. But ultimately, it's about building up the confidence, the transparency, and ultimately the reputation of our industry with consumers.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so kind of moving along here, not to completely get away from the subject, but I wanted to talk to you also about the what you guys are seeing in the industry as a whole. I mean, before you got on, I was talking to Charity, and I have a prediction that Carvana is going to file for bankruptcy here within the next 3 weeks. My prediction. fairly confident. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, let's say that it does happen. Well, how do you see that impacting the industry? You know, the independent side also is there's gonna be some effects there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. Obviously, we've been watching the Carvana saga for better part of a year and a half to 2 years. And I think from an association standpoint, obviously, we don't take a stance on, we don't want to see any dealer or any group go out of business or
Sure.
go through financial hardship. But I think what this does is it tells us a couple of different things, specifically on the independent side, but really as an industry as a whole. COVID and the pandemic and the supply shortage and all of those different things, for everything that it has done negatively to our industry, lowered volume, forced us to do things that the consumers really have been asking us to do for a while, which is to become more digital, more transparent.
Hmm.
Those are all positive things, really, that have really allowed us to re-innovate. Look, one thing I know about this industry, whether you can go back over all the different economic downturns and challenges that we've had as an industry, the auto industry finds a way to survive and to come out smelling like
Oh, yeah.
roses, right? Because
Mhm.
of the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and all of those different things. What we've learned, I think, through the Carvana experience and others that have tried similar approaches, and what we've learned through various different communications and feedback from consumers is, yes, consumers want a digital experience, but they still want that in-person experience as well. They still
Hmm.
want that human capital, right? You cannot replace human capital with digital capital. And I think that a lot of retailers tried to remove the human capital element from the experience and tried to remove the human interaction, and it's backfired on a lot of us. And I think
Hmm.
it's backfired on the industry in general. The challenge we now have is to not try to flip back the way that we were, right? Where we swing the entire pendulum back over and say, see, customers want to come into our store, and when then our autoresponders are back to the old, yeah, I've got it, what time can you be here? That's not what we need to do. What we need to do is find a happy medium, right? There's some interesting statistics that, part of my responsibility is to kind of analyze the industry and work with our partners and really understand what's happening. And one of the interesting statistics that I've seen trending up over really the last 12 to 18 months is number of physical dealerships visited. So y'all probably know for years and years and years, the number of physical dealerships visited was somewhere around the 2 to 3 range, right? And then it
Hmm.
started dipping quite significantly as we went into, to COVID and all that other stuff. Well, what we're seeing now is it's starting to trend back up. The number of
Well,
physical dealerships that consumers are visiting is trending back up, which I think is a great thing because it forces us back into value selling. It forces us back into the customer experiences. I heard somebody tell me the other day, look, if you know anything about Chick-fil-A, right? Does Chick-fil-A have a lock on the chicken sandwich? Some could argue they do, some could argue they don't. We're not going to get into that debate, right? They have a great chicken sandwich. The product has got to be good. The quality's got to be good. But why do you pass 3 other chicken stores whose chicken are just as probably adequate to go to Chick-fil-A? And it's because of the experience, the customer experience. They are programmed, they are trained to be able to really go in there. And I was talking to several of our partners the other day, and they were actually the ones that kind of brought this up to me, and it made a lot of sense that ultimately I think what we're going to learn from the Carvana experience and what we're going to learn from COVID and from the supply chain and all of those different things is that we've got to up our game. We've got to up our customer experience because
Mhm.
customers still want to talk to us. Customers still want to come into our stores. Customers still want to be able to interact with us. But what we also have to focus on and ensure is that we don't flip that pendulum to the complete opposite and say that the digital experience isn't important, because it is. Both
yeah.
are.
So here's the thing, and I like where we're going with this because I just had this debate with somebody. I'm not going to name any names here on LinkedIn the other day, and they were talking about, well, no, the customer, they want to buy the car online and stuff, and I'm like, dude, where is the proof?
Right.
If that was going to happen, it would have happened during COVID.
Yep.
I'm not talking, well, it went from 1% to 10%. No, dude, it would have gone from 1% to 50%
Right.
or 60%.
Yep. Right.
We would have woken up literally the next day, and that's how business was being done. And that did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't sit there and tell me that that's what the consumer wants, because their behavior doesn't predict that. It doesn't say that.
It's not only their behavior, they're telling us that that's not what they want. They are physically telling us, the words are coming out of their mouth. That is not what I want. I want to go into the store. I want to have that experience. I want to test drive the vehicle. I want to, maybe they don't want to play the games, right? Maybe they don't want to play the
They don't
back
want
and
to sit
forth.
there for 5 hours.
Right.
That's what they don't want to do.
That's exactly right. They don't want to be there for 2, 3, 4 hours, but they still want to go in and test drive. They still want to have a positive experience. They do not want to do everything digitally. If they did, you would have been able to buy a car on your Apple iPhone 5 years ago, right? Because the technology, look, I'm confident that we've got enough ingenuity in the tech space in the United States between Google and Apple and Facebook and Meta and all those other. They would have figured this stuff out a long time ago. It's not that we can't figure it out. It's that there is no market for it. The consumers don't want it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that if it's trending up, that people are going to more and more dealers, that just shows also we've had a chokehold on the way that we do business in the automotive space as dealerships. And they haven't really had a choice other than to play the game by the way that we wanted them to play the game. And now things are shifting and they're like, balls in our court, watch.
Yep. Right.
And that's huge.
I think that's a phenomenal point, Charity. I think that, that's the biggest point that I try to make to people when I talk to them is, look, we turned a deaf ear to this and a blind eye for many years. The consumers have been asking and begging for this, for some level of transparency, from some level of look, there's a reason the manufacturers put time spent in the F&I box or in the F&I office on their manufacturer surveys. There's a reason, that they ask those questions, and the consumers have been telling us this for years. And that's why I say COVID and and the pandemic and the supply shortage did really a lot of good for our industry. Yes, it did a lot of bad, but it also did a lot good for our industry because it forced us to come at least some way. The challenge now becomes two-pronged, that number one, we don't go too far, which I believe some of the retailers have. And then number two, that we don't try to swing the pendulum back the other way and say, nope, customers don't want that digital experience, because that's not what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a happy medium. I think the ideal experience is that the customer goes online, they get all the information, they do their 14 plus hours of research, they hone in on the car that they want, and once they do that, they start the process online. Right. And then they get to the dealership and they're there for an hour, they get in their car, they get their whatever they're going to do for finance, and they're out of there. Right. That's ultimately what we should be striving for.
I agree.
And not trying to get and not to get a car to a consumer that they never see, and because that's not. There's a big gap there between what the customer wants and what we're trying to force down the customer's throat too.
Yeah, and I think that gap still exists today.
Yeah.
And I, look, I think we need to pay attention to what our buyers are telling us and what our consumers are telling us, and we need to read the tea leaves, right? And understand that, look, we've got some changes we've got to make in this industry, but we don't have to go so far in the name of progress, right? In the name of digital evolution, and that customers want to do everything online, because they don't.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, thanks, man, for doing this. We really appreciate it. This has been really nice. I appreciate your insights. There is one question that we ask everybody that comes on the show, but before we do that, I do want to ask something, and I wanted to ask this on the last show, but it was our first, getting back into the groove. is there anything that you can say that the franchise dealers could benefit from the independents or vice versa? And you obviously haven't had both experience. I just want to try to bridge the gap between the two spaces.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I was joking with somebody the other day that I've had franchise experience, I've had vendor experience, I've had independent experience, and now I have association experience. And I don't know if I'm trying to round myself out or not, but it certainly has been the differences and the dichotomies between all of them are really kind of different. But the I think to answer your question of what could we do? What could franchise dealers learn from independents, and what could independent dealers learn from franchise? I think it's really it goes on two premises. One is the franchise dealers could learn to be as nimble as independent dealers are in their ability to change and to evolve with the market, and to be able to understand and be willing to accept that change. Usually when you're in a big franchise where you've got, 60, $70,000 rent factors, and you've got a huge overhead expense, you're scared to change, right? You're scared
Right.
to try new things. You're scared to evolve, because if something goes wrong, you've got a big nut over there that you've got to really be able to crack, and that could affect the ability to do so. So really kind of learning from the independent dealers' ability to be able to pivot, ability to be able to evolve and to be nimble and to change fast, I think would certainly benefit the franchise world. On the flip side, independent dealers can learn from the structure that franchise dealers have, right? Because independent dealers are smaller operations, they don't have the big overhead expense. And so on the flip side of being able to be nimble, they have less structure. They have less formality around their processes, around their overall operational structure, whereas you have, a ton of that in the franchise world. And so I think that independent dealers could really learn from embracing more structure and more processes from the franchise world, and the franchise world could learn, to be a little bit more nimble and to evolve with the market from the independent world.
Very cool, man. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And with that, the question we ask everybody that comes on the show is, where do you see the automotive industry headed in the next 5 years, and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. So here's what I think. I think we're going to have to understand the impact of EVs in the automotive world. I do not believe, I am not an EV person who believes that EVs are going to take over the world and take over the space in the next 15, 20 years. There's a lot of work really that has to happen even outside of the
Oh yeah.
industry, right? In order for EVs to have the impact that everybody says they're going to have. Look, our electrical grid can't handle all of these vehicles, being plugged in and charging overnight or whatever. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. But I think what we are going to have to do is we are going to have to figure out, where do EVs play in the space, and how do we adapt as an industry, and as service departments, as service facilities, as charging facilities. How do we really embrace a level of EV compatibility and merge it with our traditional retail experience? Because I think I believe that there is a massive space for EVs, and there's going to continue to be a massive space. I don't see that it's going to take probably more than 20-25% of the industry. I think right now it's about 13% if I looked at the last numbers for 2022. So I think, number one, we're going to have to figure out EVs, and we're going to have to figure out how they play, and we're going to have to figure out the longevity, the viability of them long term, and the batteries and charging and all that other thing. The other thing that I think that we're going to have to understand, that we're going to have to really focus on in the next 5 years, is the evolution of the auto industry and the digitalization of our processes. That does not mean contradicting what I said earlier and trying to make everything a digital experience. But we do need to go to the. I mean, why do we need to continue to print law contracts on this really long piece of paper with press hard five copies, right? With the dot matrix printers and all of that other stuff. I mean, we still do that. You walk into the majority of the boxes in these dealerships, and we still got these big octave printers that are that look like they were from back in the future when it was generated, right? Or when that movie was created. And I think we're going to have to figure out, because perceptions with consumers are real, right? And so until we can really get away from this mound of paperwork and not go digital, consumers are going to continue to have, I think, a negative connotation. So I think somebody's going to finally figure that out, and we're going to go more digital in the F&I space, in the paperwork space. And I think we're going to find a happy medium with EVs in the space. And I tend to believe that you're going to continue to see number of dealerships go up, visited go up, but I think you're also going to see customer satisfaction really start to go up, and it not be, I think, erroneously inflated, because we have a way of making numbers tell us what we want it to tell us, as opposed to what the consumer is actually telling us. So I don't know if that really completely answers your question, but I think that those are three things that I think we're going to be able to finally solve really in the next 5 years.
Right on. Well, there you have it, everybody. Jeremy Beck. Let's give him another hand here. Using our... thanks again, man, for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
That's all the time that we have for today. And as usual, we'll talk later.
We only host a well-respected. The vendor LexisNexis. We don't sell digital marketing. What you do? We inspect it with our DT vendor management.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealer talk. That's 4eyes.io/dealer talk.